You ever have somebody show up at your front gate and try to convince you that your own house actually belongs to the community? Because that's exactly what happened to me my first day up here. I'd barely brushed the dust off my keys, literally still smelling the pine and the old wood, when this woman comes marching up like she owns the ridge, yelling about how my place was promised to her parents. Not even a hello, just straight into some performance. Shouting like she was the sheriff of the mountains. You know what I mean? Yeah, that happened. And listen, I've seen a lot of scams in my time fake programs, phony QR codes, the whole song and dance where it sounds official until you actually look at it. But this woman, she had it rehearsed. She'd done her homework. The real kicker? She tried to flip it all on me, make me out to be the villain if I said no. Pathetic and bold at the same time, almost impressive if it wasn't my property on the line. What would you do if someone showed up with a government program trying to move into your house? The truth is, I wasn't some wide-eyed city kid. My name's Noah Turner. I make documentaries for a living, and after years of chasing stories around the world, I bought this old mountain house place left to rot after the last family had a messy inheritance fight. It was perfect. Just me, the pines, and the piece I needed to finish my next film. I'd already mapped out where I'd set up my studio, those big windows overlooking the valley, the way the sun cut through in the afternoons. 2 acres of steep mountain, natural privacy, real quiet. First thing I did was install cameras, every angle covered. Habit from work, never know what story'll walk up your driveway when you live this far out. Foundation was rough, plumbing a mess, but the bones were solid. All I needed was solitude and maybe a little luck. I remember that first night, sun sinking behind the ridge, long shadows stretching across my driveway, when I heard the engine echoing up the mountain. Some folks might not notice, but if you've lived out here, you know the difference between a Subaru and a van you've never seen. White van, health department logos, parked smack in front of my gate, lights blinding my cameras. My instincts went into overdrive. Out steps this woman, Darlene Pierce, according to the name tag, HOA compliance chair, pinned to her lapel. Clipboard, official tone, that practiced smile politicians use when they want your vote or your land. We need to discuss your property's role in the state partnership program, she tells me, and I know immediately this is no routine welcome wagon. She flashes a phone at me, QR code ready to scan, compassion zoning pilot program, in bold with government logos sprinkled all over. It looked real bureaucratic, formatting, legalese, the whole deal. Your place qualifies for elder care placement, she says, voice loaded with urgency. New federal regulations, humanitarian assistance. Then comes the guilt, her parents need help. Neighbors have given silent consent. And I'm holding everything up. Classic emotional bait and switch. She even gestures to a box of blankets in her van, like she's got a whole script ready. I scanned her code because that's what you do, right? And the form seemed legit at first glance. But years of interviewing politicians and corporate execs, I know a put-on when I see one. The van blocking my cameras, the timing, the rush for a decision, textbook manipulation. I started filming her, documenting every detail. License plate, badge, van logos, blanket box contents. I'll have to verify all this before I agree to anything, I told her, keeping it cool. That's when I saw her smile twitch, just a flicker of annoyance before she snapped back to her act. Of course, she said. But silence equals consent after 24 hours, just so you know. And then she drove off, leaving her box at my gate like bait. I spent that night uploading footage, backing up files, tagging every shot. Paranoia is a survival skill when you deal with this kind of thing. And yet, even as I tried to talk myself down, that little voice in my head kept running circles. What if she was right? What if I was about to become the next heartless villain on viral video, denying help to some old folks in need? But the cracks in her story kept showing. Real programs don't run on Gmail accounts set up 3 weeks ago, which is exactly what the county clerk found when I sent her the QR form. The domain was a joke. The file name? Draft Karen Final version 2. If that isn't the smoking gun of a fake, I don't know what is. And the timestamps edited late at night, every weekend, like someone pulling an all-nighter before a high school essay was due. There was no state program. It was theater high-budget cosplay, but cosplay all the same. By the time I'd run her claim past every authority county, state, even the ranger station, nobody had ever heard of it. The real clincher came when I called Deputy Grant Dawson, Sheriff's Office. He listened close, asked sharp questions, then told me straight, government impersonation's a federal crime. HOAs can't just invent new laws and take over your property, no matter how official it looks. I dug into the law myself, spent hours reading up on HOA powers, state code, federal law. Turns out they can write you up for offense, maybe fine you for weeds, but they can't forge a government partnership or override your deed. This was all smoke and mirrors. Elaborate, dangerous, and now criminal. But that wasn't the end of it. Next morning, there's a vinyl banner stretched across my gate. State Compassion Zone. Looked real, fonts and all, except I never agreed to it. And then, watching my overnight footage, I see someone with paint-stained gloves sneaking around at 2 a.m., stacking lumber by my meter. Sabotage, meant to start a fire or frame me for a code violation. Not random vandalism, this was methodical, organized harassment. The paint on the glove's turquoise base, white speckle, stood out like a signature. I barely had time to react before the fire department rolled up, called in by a mysterious tip. They circled the lumber, snapped photos, told me flat out this was no accident. Somebody wanted to see me lose my insurance or worse. I showed them my footage. Deputy Grant showed up, collected samples, shook his head. "This is felony territory now," he said. "You're dealing with a full-on criminal operation." Turns out, Darlene wasn't just running a solo con. She recruited volunteers, printed fake IDs, even got neighbors to spy on each other, believing they were working for a real state agency. People I'd see on the trail came forward, embarrassed, angry they'd all been duped. Even her own parents, when they finally appeared at a community meeting, were horrified to learn their names had been used in this mess. "We never authorized any of this," her father said. "We'd never approve of what our daughter did." You could feel the whole mood shift, shock, then fury. That's the twist, right there. This wasn't just a scam against me. It was a coordinated attack on the whole mountain community, preying on good folks' trust in government and their own better angels. The HOA board had enough. Unanimous vote, Darlene out, criminal charges filed, law enforcement brought in. Justice, finally, in the hands of people who knew the difference between rules and rights. The prosecutors came in strong: federal, state, county. Guilty on all counts. Government impersonation, wire fraud, criminal trespass, elder abuse, conspiracy, the works. She went to prison. The HOA rewrote its rules, set up new safeguards, and folks finally started talking to each other instead of hiding behind fences and fake banners. And me? I got back to my film with a few more cameras and a lot more respect for mountain justice. Neighbors check in now. Law enforcement's got my back. Sometimes I think maybe the real story wasn't about the house, but about a community waking up to how easy it is to get played and how powerful it is to stand up together. So what would you have done? Ever been through something like this where doing the right thing put a target on your back? Drop a comment, tell me where you stand. Is justice about rules or about guts? If you found this story wilder, maybe a little too real, hit that like, share with a friend, and don't forget to subscribe. Until next time, guard your gates, trust your gut, and never let anybody, HOA or otherwise, write your story for you.